America's most solemn weekend, early this morning, teams, transporters, and drivers drove through this backstretch tunnel inside the Charlotte Motor Speedway to park, unload, and get ready for this. Qualifying for the Coca-Cola 600 for NASCAR's Cup Series, presented on Fox by Geico. The cars are all through inspection and at the ready. Each windshield strip carrying the name of a fallen serviceman or woman, and we will tell some of their stories during tonight's running of the 600. Welcome to the Steve Burns studio at Fox Network Center, Charlotte. I'm Jeff Gordon with How are you? I'm with Hall of Famer Jeff Gordon. You know, we had it wrong in rehearsal. We got it wrong again. He's Mike Joy. I'm Jeff Gordon. Well, okay. Then let's get on with it, because I'm just completely in awe of what these drivers are about to do, Jeff. For the first time in memory, no practice, but you're going to get in that car and you're going to drive it off into turn one and stay right foot flat on the floor for your entire qualifying lap. Really?
Mike, this is just insane. I mean, if you think about this, the most aggressive run and lap you'll ever make or corner you'll make is going to qualify, especially at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The engineers, the aerodynamicists, the crew chiefs, they've all said, don't worry, you can hold it wide open. Well, yeah, a lot easier for them to say behind the wheel. There's definitely going to be some anxious, nervous moments as these drivers go out to make that qualifying run, to set the grid for tonight's 600-mile race.
And as you can tell, there were in the studio here when we came on air. Oh, well. Let's go out to pit road. Regan Smith.
Well, Mike, Jeff just hit the nail right on the head. The engineers, the crew chiefs, they tell the drivers, yes, you should be fine to go out there and go wide open around this racetrack. But there is a substance on the track called the traction compound. That is up the racetrack about one groove, and the drivers are concerned about that. The concern is they want to see somebody else run through that before they do. The problem is the first car says he's not going to run through it. The second car says he's not going to run through it unless the first car doesn't on through the back of the pack. So somebody eventually will go up there and run through it, maybe on accident, maybe on purpose. It's just a matter of who and when.
Wow. Just to add to the excitement. On the weekend that America holds most solemn all across America, they're remembering, and here we're about to qualify. Four-time Coca-Cola 600 winner Jimmy Johnson taking pictures of his commemorative camo helmet. And the first car is rolled. B.J. McLeod, the number 78 Chevy, is on track as he gets up to speed. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, Mike, we haven't qualified since March 7th. And with that being said, William, you guys haven't even turned a lap on this track. What are the emotions like for you right now, knowing that?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's an unknown. I think the biggest thing is, you know, the PJ1 obviously is on the racetrack. So knowing how high you're going to run coming to green is probably going to be your biggest question mark. Luckily, we've got 3 cars ahead of us. So if none of them go any higher than the bottom, we probably won't go higher than that. But we'll just kind of play it by ear and see how the grip level is. I think on the lap, you'll be close to wide open at least. So that should be pretty simple, but just get up to speed. So we'll see what happens.
All right, William Byron became the youngest pole sitter for the Coke 600 here a year ago, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, Wauchula, Florida's B.J. McLeod went right up into the traction compound.
No, not at all. You know, we talked this morning about possibly a driver going up there in 3 and 4, just trying to build that speed coming to take the green. But B.J. went up there on his actual lap. The one thing that I'm monitoring, guys, is the cloud covering keeps getting more and more, and there's not a more track-sensitive, temperature-sensitive racetrack that we go to than Charlotte Motor Speedway. Going late in this session could pay dividends.
Boy, I'm just watching Daniel Suarez. You're absolutely right, Larry, about track sensitivity to the temperature, but it's also very sensitive to a rough riding suspension, and this Daniel Suarez number 96 Toyota is very rough.
31.59 for McLeod, 31.85 Daniel Suarez.
Suarez's car was just bouncing all over the track. They, I think they missed the heights or missed something on a shock there.
Timmy Hill from Port Tobacco, Maryland. One heck of an iRacer. He's going to make his 4th Coca-Cola 600 start tonight.
Yes, he is. I love B.J. McLeod. He went out there first lap, nobody on the track, no practice, no nothing, and he fires it into the PJ1, the traction compound, and also ran a pretty darn good lap.
He did.
You could see there where now we see BJ ran that higher lane through the traction compound and maybe had to get off the throttle a little bit because he did lose some speed as Timmy Hill goes to the top.
31.23 for Hill. And that'll bring up William Byron. Now, the qualifying order was set per the rule book. The final 20 starters from Wednesday at Darlington took their draw for qualifying positions 1 to 20.
Oh, big tire rub on that left rear for William Byron. Mike, if I'm going to fire off in these kind of conditions without any practice, you know what I want on my side? A crew chief who's won the 600 4 times. Chad Knaus, crew chief for William Byron.
Top of the chart for Byron.
Ooh-wee.
And we're under 30 seconds, 29.95.
Just looking at that, you can just see the car was bouncing around a little bit. He was having to work the steering wheel, and as he did that, the deflection in those sidewalls and that rear end was pushing into that left rear fender well a little bit. Just a slight rub.
Cole Custer's Ford will be our next qualifier, the rookie from Ladera Ranch, California.
You can see how low the 24 William Byron ran, how fast he ran through 1 and 2 compared to Cole Custer with our Ghost car.
Guys, going back to William Byron in that 24 car, looked like a Daytona Talladega qualifying lap as far as the throttle, never lifting.
And Larry, I got to believe as Cole Custer goes to second, 30.33, that these crew chiefs have been pretty conservative as they've, taken this car off the truck. We've seen where they've really trimmed out for qualifying these 1.5 miles in the past. I just don't think they have that luxury to do that today.
J.J. Yaley, Phoenix native, finished second in the Cup in the 2007 600.
Oh, here's a huge tire rub for J.J. Yaley. We saw a little bit of smoke out of the 24 car, but that was a lot more aggressive. Ooh, and a loose moment. Did that tire, was wondering if that tire went down from that rub, or did the car just get loose?
31.48 for Yaley. He's 4th out of 7, but
Man, that was a big moment. Yeah, I think the tire looks, doesn't it look low there, Mike?
It does.
I think that tire rub being that severe, does it? Oh, man. Boy, it's really severe. You can see it really cutting into that left rear tire. And even a little bit of a rub here in 3 and 4. And I really believe that it finally wore through that sidewall, cut the tire down. That's why JJ had such a huge moment, almost lost the back of the car off of 4.
Sure, you've got that huge spoiler putting all that downforce down onto those, onto the rear tires.
And this is just one of the long list of things that when you don't have practice and you're not able to make those laps, as you see that left rear tire down on J.J. Yaley's car, he was actually very lucky. And you can even see the fender, how much heat was built up in the rub. It was actually high in the center of that fender. Here's that loose moment for J.J.
Wow. Now that tire's flat. It's the Goodyear safety inner liner, a tire within a tire that keeps it from being down on the rim. Jamie?
Well, Jimmy Johnson waiting and watching. Jimmy, some drivers looking up at the sky at the clouds, others watching the video monitors. What's the ideal scenario for a fast lap today?
I think going very late in the running is going to be most helpful. So we understand how much you can run in the traction compound or not. It certainly looks pretty easy getting up to speed. But if we could run as high as possible in 3 and 4, you could have a few extra mile an hour coming to the start-finish line to start your lap. But none of us really, it doesn't look like anybody yet has had the confidence to get very high. So I think that's kind of the thing that's weighing on me the most right now. And then also as you arc the car into the corner, you cross over that traction compound. So I'm not sure how aggressive I can be with the shape into the corner and have the car land and be underneath me. So trying to keep a close eye on that right now. I've learned to quit worrying about the clouds a long time ago. There's not much I can do about it. I can't control my line, and I'll focus on that.
All right, good luck, Jimmy. And
Thank
by
you.
the way, beautiful race car, Mike.
All camo. Lift here, no step there. And he had an indicator with an arrow on his helmet that said vision. Pretty sharp.
That's a sharp-looking car, and you know, your helmet, your paint scheme on your race car, and your helmet paint scheme, well, it means a lot to you, especially when you're able to, you know, pay tribute to those fallen soldiers. Hey, Larry, I got a question for you. William Byron's time right now is only about a half a second off of last year's pole-setting qualifying speed. Rules, how much different are the rules? That's pretty impressive to me to run that lap time that close to last year without any practice.
Well, and here's what makes it even more impressive. Yeah, to have no practice, but remember, we normally qualify for the Coca-Cola 600 late afternoon or early evening. I mean, the track temp is way up right now because here we are qualifying right in the middle of the day, but essentially the rules are the same from what they were a year ago.
Mobile, Alabama's Bubba Wallace for Richard Petty in the number 43, the Air Force Chevrolet. If you ever built a model of one of those P-40 Flying Tigers from World War II, that's what this graphic scheme replicates.
Oh, I can see the glue all over my fingers now, Mike.
Right.
But this is an awesome-looking car. And Bubba Wallace, I tell you, he's been off to a pretty nice season so far in this 43 Chevrolet, and setting in second right now to 30.172.
I definitely think Jerry Baxter, his crew chief, has made a huge difference with Bubba Wallace. They worked together in the truck series. They won races. They had some good points run. I think Jerry has made a huge difference with Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, and you know, Larry, on Wednesday, they made a pretty aggressive pit strategy call, and I thought Bubba was going straight to the back and maybe going a lap down, but it actually worked in their favor.
Quinn Howe from Virginia, he'll be our next qualifier in this Chevrolet. As he goes and finishes his run, fourth quickest so far. Here's Regan.
Well, Mike, certainly a guy that has enjoyed this format of the unknown. Kevin Harvick, a win last week and a third place at Darlington. Now you got to go do something else that we haven't ever done before. Qualify without hitting the track first. So what are your thoughts going into this lap?
Well, you know, I think for us in our Busch Light Ford, I think you want to be a little bit conservative because it is qualifying. We got a long race tonight. I think for us, we'll probably just either do the middle or the bottom and come into the green and then bottom. So hopefully that works, but really don't know for sure. But this is kind of fun when you get to go out and do something that's exciting like this.
I hope it works for you too. Thanks, Kevin.
Corey LaJoy in the number 32 Ford Mustang, third fastest, 30.18, misses Bubba Wallace, and the second spot by 100th of a second.
Well, it's certainly fun for us to watch because of all the unknowns, and you know, you heard Kevin Harvick talk about this being fun because of it, but we've already seen, as we see the 17 Chris Buescher start his lap, where they're not afraid to get up into that traction compound. There's another tire rub through 3 and 4. We'll see if that continues, or through turns 1 and 2. A little more loads on that left rear usually in turns 1 and 2 versus 3 and 4, just the shape, the banking of the turns. Well, that's pretty severe there.
Jeff, one thing I think that's happening is in the impound procedure, these teams, these crew chiefs, after qualifying, they can raise the back of the car. I get a feeling they've got them way down in the back, just trying to get that sport out of there, and that's why we have some tires rubbing.
Chris Buescher, second fastest. In the next group of 10 drivers to qualify will be Kyle Busch. Welcome back to Charlotte. Cup Series qualifying for the 600. William Byron quickest so far. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for JTG Doherty Racing in a Chevrolet.
We know Ricky Stenhouse Jr. not going to have any issues holding it wide open. 177 miles per hour going into turn 3. Right around the bottom. Car looks good.
No tire rub.
No tire
Looks
rub.
really good.
Yeah.
Second for Stenhouse.
And, you know, as a driver, you don't see that tire rub. You smell the rubber burning, and you use your senses. If it's just a slight amount of rubber that's burning, you don't worry about it. But when you actually smell it and it's pretty deep and there's smoke inside the cockpit, you get pretty worried.
Christopher Bell for Levine Family Racing, who had his best Cup finish so far Wednesday at Darlington, wound up 11.
Yeah, it's been a rough start, right, for Christopher Bell. So that 11th place finish was big for this team to get things going in the right direction.
Second for Bell, 30.04. About 9/100ths off of William Byron's pace-setting lap.
And I think that was pretty big for some of the Joe Gibbs racing teams. They have, you know, an alliance with this race team, and they're going to be able to get some information from Christopher Bell, from that race team, about the conditions of the track, the grip level, holding it wide open, all those things.
Michael McDowell. Nice camo paint scheme on his Mustang. Finished 18th in this race 2 years ago.
You saw Michael run a little bit wider line through turns 1 and 2. I don't know if that was by choice or not, but he had the right sides just in that traction compound. Looks like he got him a little bit behind to our pole sitter.
And McDowell is 7th fastest so far. Kyle Busch getting ready to run Wednesday night on the last green flag lap at Darlington. He was trying to make sure he moved up in front of Kevin Harvick, but that wasn't the issue. He had not cleared the 9 of Chase Elliott.
By a mile.
Yeah. Said he made a mistake, apologized for it on air and to Alan Gustafson that night. He and Chase have since talked it over. Very costly crash for Elliott, who was in position to maybe win that race.
Very well could have been there, Mike. And, you know, I think these drivers have had a pretty good relationship, as well as the relationship that Kyle has with Alan Gustafson. That was his first crew chief in the Cup Series, and it was an accident. It was a mistake. It was just a very huge one and a very costly one for Chase Elliott. We saw something there at Kyle Busch, no surprise. Him take off pit road, go straight to the wall, up into the traction compound to get a big run at this start-finish line to start his lap.
Off turn 4, gaining slightly. That ends up a car length behind William Byron. Second for Kyle Busch, 30.01. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski standing by his car. Unfortunately for you, Brad, all 3 of your teammates are behind you. So what are you watching and learning for your lap?
Yeah, you know, you always want your teammates to go before you because there's so much to learn, Jamie. But, you know, I think this kind of format is obviously a little bit more challenging in some ways because you don't have any experience. But the cars are wide open, so it's a little bit easier in that way, too. So still got the cars going before us and all the SMT and all that to look through to try to understand what to expect, and that's what we'll do.
All right, Brad Keselowski was the pole sitter for this race in 2011, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. This is the 53 for Garrett Smithley, who is running all 3 NASCAR races at Charlotte this week, making his first start in the 600 tonight.
Hey, Mike and Jeff, going back to Kyle Busch, he was able to run wide open through 3 and 4, but he had to come out of the throttle about 50% for a split second 1 and 2. Jeff, I know I was at Michigan one time working with Donnie Allison. We were talking about running wide open, and he tried it in practice. He said, Larry, all I can tell you, when I got to turns 3 and 4, those throttle springs started feeling like door springs.
Yeah, when your foot starts shaking ever so slightly, you know you're not quite ready to hold it wide open. You know, sometimes what your foot's doing and what your brain's trying to tell it to do don't always connect. Ray Galling, you could see he was out of it about 50% right there through 3 and 4.
He's going to start his 3rd 600 tonight. See where his Ford will line up. He's 11th quickest out of 17 right now.
And Mike and Larry, I think if you were very aggressive on the setup and lowered the car down, tried to get that spoiler out of the air, you might see a driver need to lift a little bit. Or if the sun comes out, the track gets a little bit slicker, you might see them lift. But for the most part, if you're going to win this pole position, I believe you're going to be wide open.
Oh, Joey Gase up the hill.
There's a big bump going into turn 1 as well as a transition. I don't know, some signal was sent to Joey. For some reason, his brake pressure is on. Also, I don't know if that's a sensor issue on our telemetry or in the car there, but obviously he had a huge moment going into turn 1.
He started just one Coca-Cola 600. That was last year. And his Mustang will be slowest at 33.53. Maybe he did have a brake dragging. Well, they'll check it out. Jimmie Johnson, 4-time winner of the Coca-Cola 600. He's finished top 10 here the last 2 years.
Has some information from his teammate William Byron, who's currently first, and he's ahead of William going into turn 1. And even pulling ahead even a little bit more. Great speed in this 48 Chevrolet here.
Never let the car track out on the back straightaway out turn 2. He came down the middle of the racetrack, taking the shortest possible route. And it will put him to the top. Jimmie Johnson, 29.79.
Wow, that's a huge pickup versus the faster cars that we've seen so far. I mean, that's almost 2/10 of a gap to William Byron. Cliff Daniels, crew chief for Jimmie Johnson, has to be very pleased with that result.
Great lap for Johnson. So completing our second 10, and the drivers who lined up 21 through 40, or the cars that lined up 21 through 40 Wednesday at Darlington, is Ross Chastain. This is the number 77 Spire Motorsports entry. But as at Daytona, Chastain has a deal where Ganassi Racing is furnishing him a car for these 2 races.
We know Ross to be an aggressive driver and quick with his hands. Well, he was having to use every bit of those skills right there coming through 3 and 4. You saw that car have a bit of a moment, the back end stepping out.
So all said, 7th, not bad for Chastain. Kevin Harvick is up next as we move into the top 20 starters from Darlington. Half the field has made their qualifying lap at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We now move into the top 20 starters from Wednesday night. At Darlington, few drivers have been more successful here than Kevin Harvick. 2 600 wins, top 10s in 8 of the last 9 races here. Top 10 finishes in all of the last 11 600s.
You know, I found interesting when I was looking up some things getting ready for this weekend, Mike, was that Kevin Harvick's won this race twice. Rodney Childers won it once. Neither of them have won it together. Yeah, if you remember, that was
it David Rudiman?
David Rudiman,
Yeah.
he won it with.
Now Harvick tracks all the way out to the entrance to turn 3.
Well, we heard, and we heard from Kevin Harvick, they thought they were going to be conservative, so he's easily able to hold it wide open, but the car is probably lacking some speed as he's going to slot in about 8.
30-15. Regan?
Mike, the guy that has enjoyed the past 4 days, perhaps more than anybody, Denny Hamlin, winner a couple days ago at Darlington. This session of qualifying right here, how much are you going to rely on your two teammates that go out before you to give you some info?
Well, we use it quite a bit. I mean, mostly just trying to see, who's running what line coming to the green, what lines are taking on entry and exit. We'll pay attention to all that, and then really how much throttle they're holding down. So I don't know that it's an easy wide open, but most guys are. So it doesn't tell me it's easy if not everyone is. So it just depends on how good your car is, I think. So I hope, with the #1 pit stall tonight, we should be pretty good. Let's just qualify somewhere in the top 15 and we can work it from there.
Hey, good luck in getting that happy face mask back on at the end of the night.
I have different emotions stored away depending on how tonight goes.
Thanks, Denny.
That was great Wednesday night. His teammate, Eric Jones, just ran the 4th fastest lap of this session, 30:03. Eric got himself a top 5 last week.
When I was very interested to hear Denny Hamlin say, I don't think it's an easy wide open, because as Clint Boyer running his lap, you can see already tracking behind Jimmy Johnson. We've seen so far Jimmy Johnson, that car has shown the highest speed into turn 3, 179 miles per hour versus William Byron, 178 miles per hour. So you can tell that 48 car was trimmed out a little bit more than some of these others. As Clint Boyer is 8th.
A lot of Fords in a group here, 6 of them there within 8 spots, all in a bunch. Jamie?
And another Ford driver, Joey Logano, he's qualified 2nd for this race 3 times, never the pole. But Joey, the last time we were on a 1.5-mile track, you went to victory lane. What are you expecting from the speed here in qualifying?
Well, expect the unexpected in this case. I think in this you just need to rely on all your resources you have, which is going over film from last year, SMT data. My spotter TJ's up there in the spotter stand. He's getting some data just on where cars are at. And your teammates, Brad's out there right now. So just kind of leaning all that, and you go in the corner and you hope she sticks, and plan to keep it wide open, see what happens.
Thanks, Joey.
John Hunter Nemechek completes his qualifying run. He is 13th so far, 30-25 for the rookie.
You know, you keep hearing some of our drivers talk about SMT data, and that's where you're seeing all this telemetry come from. It's something I'm looking at here in my room. I'm looking at throttle position, brake position, steering position, and I actually can compare it from one driver to another or to our ghost car, as you see right here.
Yeah, that's been a game changer, Larry. You know, these drivers now, they go and study all of this telemetry. They used to be able to get this information off their teammates, but now they're getting that from every driver in the field.
And guys, going back to Jimmy Johnson, the one difference right now between he and his teammate William Byron, Jimmy Johnson was over 1 mile an hour faster coming off turn 4 to take the green, and that speed escalates all the way down that front straightaway.
It is a difference. Keselowski now 2nd. How about that for a patriotic paint scheme on the number 2? Matt DiBenedetto for the Wood brothers, top 10 in the last 5 races, but still looking for a good finish here at the Coca-Cola 600. He's run well here, hasn't finished well.
And Larry brought up a good point. You know, Jimmy Johnson has had a chance to watch some of these other drivers, and I think, ooh, a bit of a slide with the back of the car, losing grip for Matt DiBenedetto. Oh, man, you don't want to have to go to a backup car. We just talked about this. You know, these teams, they do have them, but they really were not prepared to want to bring those out.
That really pancaked the right side.
You saw the car.
Mustang.
You saw the car get loose. Matt corrected getting into the corner. That loose condition continued all the way off of turn 4 and just ran out of room. Pancaked, as you said, Mike, that right side. That's, I don't know if they can fix that.
That was a pretty hard lick.
Well, of course, Jeff, you don't want to lift, so you're going to chase that car up the hill as far as you can. He ran out of hill.
Well, yes, he did. Unfortunately, that wall wasn't another foot or 2 wider. But, I mean, these cars have a lot of grip. But you don't want to get out of the throttle. You don't want to give up that speed. You feel like, hey, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, until the last second. I'll give Matt credit. He was driving it all the way until it hit the wall, and even thereafter.
Now, the next car had left pit road but did not take the green, so Chase Elliott comes back to pit road to make his run. Jamie?
Well, Mike, Martin Truex Jr. is a guy that's on everybody's list when you come to the Coke 600. Martin, the last 5 times here, you guys have been the team to beat, but this time you've got a new crew chief. What are your expectations?
Oh, I expect to go out here and try to win again. I mean, that's what we're here for. So James has done a great job this whole season, really, and I feel like we've had a lot of finishes slip away, but we've been strong. I think if you look at our stage points, and especially stage 2, you know, that's proof of that. So we got to clean some things up here and there, but overall, car's been strong all year, and looking forward to taking this red, white, and blue car to victory lane tonight.
All right, he's a 2-time winner of the Coke 600, Mike.
Thanks, Jamie. James Small, the new crew chief this year for Martin Truex. Next on FS1, relive the return of NASCAR through a one-of-a-kind point of view. Yours. It's the award-winning series, 100,000 Cameras, sponsored by Geico, and it's coming up next on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
see the 9 of Chase Elliott rolling down pit road. He was actually sent off the end of pit road to start his get up to speed lap when Matt DiBenedetto made contact with the wall for turn 4. So, you know, what does that mean? Usually there's temperature, right, Larry, that's being built up underneath the hood in the engine, the water temp, oil temp. These teams try to plan for it to be perfect with the amount of tape and the heat. And it looks like maybe NASCAR is going to let them cool that down a bit before they go back out.
Yeah, you can see the crew member there with the 2 hoses. Those are quick disconnects that he can hook into the radiator and pump all the hot water out and pump cold water in. The whole goal qualifying is to get the oil warm and keep the water cold, but especially with all the tape on the nose. I applaud NASCAR for them allowing the 9 team to do this right here.
So he will not be the next driver to qualify. Once the track is clear, they'll probably send Ryan Preece and then let Elliott go when they are ready. There's Preece. Wow, I love some of these paint jobs. Red, white, and blue, and what just a great amount of celebration and pageantry for Memorial Day weekend. Jeff, they said Matt DiBenedetto was going 173 at the moment of impact there.
Yeah, I don't think he really lifted off the throttle until maybe the back end stepped out moments before he made contact. So no surprise to me that he was still carrying that amount of speed at that time.
And you know, the real dilemma for Greg Irwin, the crew chief for Matt DiBenedetto on that 21 car, we're going to be taking a green flag in just about 3 hours and a half. Whether you go to a backup car, whether you repair this car, that is not a lot of time.
No, you're right, Larry. And I think, you know, there's some debate with some of these teams of how prepared that backup car is. So some may take longer than others. I think also this qualifying run, that one lap was giving the teams a lot of information, giving the driver a lot of information about the tire rubs, the heights, you know, the balance of the race car. And now pretty much can throw that out the window for Matt DiBenedetto for that backup car he'll be bringing out.
Yeah, and I've looked at the damage and looked several angles of the 21 car. I mean, I definitely think it's repairable, but there's a lot of repair to do. And again, I talk about the time restraints, just a little under 3.5 hours before you're going to be taking a green flag. But they've got a lot of decisions to make in a short time, but no matter what they do, they've got a lot of work to do.
So here's Ryan Preece. His Chevrolet finished 20th last Sunday. That earned him the first starting spot for Wednesday night, but they had engine trouble early and wound up 39th.
And his teammate, currently Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 7th position.
Nice tight line there. And Preece clocks in 17th with a 30-35. Regan?
Well, Mike, Larry McReynolds, you were spot on with your assessment of what was going on. They really did not want to pull a backup car out for the 21 of Matt DiBenedetto. Unfortunately, too much damage. They stood over the car. Crew Chief Greg Irwin with NASCAR officials here by his side. They stood over the car looking at it. Just not something they can fix in time for the race. So unfortunately, these guys will have to roll a backup car out for the Coke 600 tonight.
Thanks, Regan. Alex Bowman, top 10 in the last 2 600s. On the right of your screen, racing the ghost car of his teammate, Jimmy Johnson, for the pole.
And he was running a line off of turn 2 like he was at Daytona, right on the bottom, holding it tight. Rarely do we see that here at Charlotte. Lost a little bit of speed through 3 and 4, but still top 5 for Bowman.
3 Hendrick Chevys currently in the top 5. Johnson, Byron, and Bowman. Denny Hamlin, Wednesday night's winner at Darlington. Right now, the highest Toyota is Kyle Busch, 4th with a 30.01.
Now let's watch Denny Hamlin's line here off of turn 2. We just saw Alex Bowman run low. His teammates, Kyle Busch and Eric Jones, ran, I think, a little bit lower than that off of turn 2. So you see Denny just letting it float out to the wall. Nice late entry into turn 3. No problem holding it wide open.
And Hamlin will be 6th currently. 30.02, 7/1000ths behind Bowman, who is 6th.
Yeah, Right between his teammates Kyle Busch and Eric Jones.
Chase Elliott got things cooled down. Finished 4th in the 600 last year, as you see the backup car rolling off the truck for Matt DiBenedetto.
In fact, the 4 Toyota drivers that's qualified so far, an 01, an 02, an 03, an 04.
Perfect.
They all came the same, didn't they, Larry?
Yes, they did. I believe they're wide open.
Chase Elliott gaining some speed into turns 3 and 4.
Gaining on it. See what kind of exit off 4 he can get.
Very close, but not enough.
But it's an all Hendrick front row for now by 4/100ths of a second. Johnson over Elliott. Jimmy Johnson won the pole for his first 600. Can he hang on to it for the last one, or will someone like Martin Truex knock him off the top spot? Ryan Blaney on the gas for Team Penske, where Brad Keselowski right now is 3rd fastest.
I'm curious what kind of information Brad Keselowski gave his teammate Ryan Blaney, because when I watched Keselowski's lap, that car did not look like it was an easy wide open. The car had some speed, but it was moving around a good bit. Here we are on board. Ryan Blaney wide open through 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is pretty much a given. That turn just has a little more grip. The banking holds you. It's right here, the bumps, and this part of turns 3 and 4, it gets much harder to hold it wide open. Boy, that was quick. But not showing. I meant quick that the car looked solid, but not quick on the stopwatch.
No, 30-31 relegates Blaney to 18th right now, with 9 drivers to go, including the 3rd Penske car, Joey Logano, who was runner-up in last year's 600.
See, Joey Logano didn't come to the green with as much speed as, say, somebody like Jimmy Johnson, but he is gaining throughout this entire lap. You can hear those skirts hitting. They got the back of his car down and continues to gain.
Third makes him the fastest Ford in the field. He beats teammate Keselowski by 3/100ths.
Boy, it makes you wonder what was different about Blaney's car. Blaney seemed pretty easy, wide open, but just didn't have the speed.
Yeah, Jeff, to take the green flag, he was almost 4 miles per hour slower to talk about Blaney than Jimmy Johnson, and that's just taking the green.
Yeah, it seems to me they went super conservative, Larry, with a little more downforce and drag in that car.
Well, it's been a year and a half since Matt Kenseth has raced at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but the first of his 39 wins came in his rookie season here.
Well, look at this lap he's putting together. Continues to close up. Loses a little bit, though, there right off of turn 4.
Third for Chip Ganassi Racing, 29.84 for Matt Kenseth, who just gets better with age.
Yes, he does. And our top 3 right now, all Chevrolets.
Ryan Newman, the 2009 runner-up in the 600. Now, he was up there a little bit in the traction compound in turn 1.
Yeah, you make that wide entry into turn 1 before you catch the banking on the very bottom. So you're going to run through that traction compound just like you are here in turns 3. You dive down to the bottom. Again, no big moments for Newman.
13th, out qualifying his Roush Fenway Ford teammate Chris Buescher by 1/100th.
Oh, spin. Eric Almirola spins off turn 4. If he can keep it out of the wall
and not go past the start-finish line.
Remember, they've added that wall onto the pit road lane because of the roval. So Eric Almirola, pretty lucky there, did a nice job as that car spins, keeping it out of the outside wall, then locking it down and not sliding into the inside wall.
But now he has passed start finish, so this is his official qualifying lap.
And guys, that was just coming to the green.
Yep.
Let's see if he runs up in that traction compound. Oh yeah, he's high up in it, getting in the corner, but then goes to the bottom. The car's just loose. Man. Now we talked about slip angles, Mike, right? In the slip angle of the tire, it has a certain amount of traction before you get too far in that slip angle. It starts to lose traction. The same thing with the aerodynamics. If the slip angle gets too far around, all that spoiler downforce completely goes away, and that's why you saw that car snap so quickly.
Just kisses the wall with the back end. I mean, they'll have to make a repair there, but certainly nothing like Matt DiBenedetto's car.
And, you know, look at this front splitter, how typically when it leaves the racetrack and goes into the infield, there's grass. But this is artificial grass that the track is put down. That usually digs in and tears the nose off that race car. That shows you how much better it is to be able to have that artificial grass to run through.
Yeah, that's a much more splitter-friendly surface.
And if Dale Jr. is watching right now, he's going, yeah!
Right.
I think he has been more adamant about trying to get that change made than anybody.
And Jimmy Johnson's reaction to Eric Almirola's spin.
That's a career. Of course, he's going to win a lot more races before he
Larry, how bad did that car look?
Boy, it didn't look bad at all, Mike. Just a little bit of damage, like on the left side of the rear bumper. But one thing that I did see, Mike and Jeff, is when he really started to lose it, when I could see the front wheels starting to turn back to the right, was way back in turns 4, when he had the right side tires in the traction compound, the left side tires in the bottom groove, and you could see his front wheels starting to turn back to the right, like he was. That's where he was dead loose.
Yeah, so watch those front tires. He's in the track compound. As soon as he comes out of it, you could see a little bit of a movement with his hands in the wheel. And I'll tell you what else, Larry, I see. He came, so we've seen some cars be able to run maybe one groove up in that traction compound through the corner, but he got another maybe half of a groove higher than that, and when he got there, it seemed like there was absolutely no traction. And that traction compound needs rubber, it needs heat, it needs things to really get activated to have the most grip, and it seemed like all of those things, the tire, the aerodynamics, and the traction compound, were exceeded right there.
But Mike, to your point, I don't fear the time they have to repair this car whatsoever. Nothing like what we were debating about the 21 car. I think they'll be good to go here.
Now, Almirola could have turned that car around and gone back and gotten a run and come to green. But, Jeff, I think being up into the wall and not knowing how hard he hit with that car, I think he probably made a wise choice just to bring it around and back to the garage.
Well, and unless NASCAR was going to give you another set of tires, I don't know if it was going to do you any good to try to attempt to make another lap, because you definitely don't want to go back out as loose as that car was and with tires that you just did a big slide on.
If he was going to make another lap, he was going to have to come in there and deal with me after it.
Yeah, it would have been a backup car.
Austin Dillon goes to work. The 2017 winner of this race.
I love it. Nice little extra tug on the belts. As you start to go and get into the banking, that your body sinks into that seat, you feel those belts loosen up a little bit, take another tug on them. Especially after you just saw Eric Almirola get loose. You will see the car start to gain speed down the straightaway. Sense the load on the driver's body as he goes through that corner, fights the steering wheel. Pretty nice top speed, 179 miles per hour. That's been as fast as anybody we've seen into turn 3. Ooh. I didn't know if that was a wiggle for Austin, but he shuts it down.
You rode with him as Austin Dillon drove to a 4th place qualifying run, 29.87. Just 8/100ths off Jimmy Johnson's current pole speed. Kurt Busch the 2010 600 winner. His Ganassi teammate Matt Kenseth is currently third.
Nice run through 1 and 2. You can see, he came to the green really nice. Gave up a little bit through 1 and 2, but now is making it back as he goes into turn 3, possibly pulling ahead of Jimmy Johnson here off of 4. Little slide, you saw a little movement, the steering wheel and the back end. Boy, this is close. Yes.
By 9/1000ths of a second, Kurt Busch steals the pole from Jimmy Johnson.
And that stat you pulled up, Mike, before we went to break, you could sense it right there. Jimmy Johnson was really wanting the pole position in this last 600.
Ty Dillon has finished top 20 in 4 of the last 5 races.
Wow, look at the nice run Ty Dillon has going here. Had to get out of the throttle in the middle 3 and 4.
And that will be the difference. Dillon 14th with a 30.05.
Boy, it doesn't take much to lose that momentum, as we heard. Just a tiny little blip off the throttle for Ty Dillon.
Chevys right now with the first 5 spots, with 1 Chevy and 1 Toyota left to go. Rookie Tyler Reddick, 2-time Xfinity champ, who won the Xfinity race here last May. This will be his first 600.
And here's another Chevrolet flirting with the pole position. Let's see if he can hold it wide open through 3 and 4 and not lose any time. He goes up the track a tiny bit, but still able to hold it wide open. Just not going to be enough.
So 5th for Tyler Reddick. That puts 6 Chevrolets at the top, then 2 Fords. Logano and Keselowski. Right now the fastest Toyota is 10th, Kyle Busch. Let's see if Martin Truex can change that. He's won 2 of the last 4 600s.
He didn't just win them. He dominated them.
True.
We heard Mark Truex Jr. in Darlington say, my car's handling really good, just lacking a little bit of speed. Right here, you've seen him wide open. Car looks really good, riding over the bumps good, just lacking a little speed. But that'll come back to him in 600 miles.
He will be the fastest Toyota in the field. Truex is 8th at 29.94. Kurt Busch has won the Busch pole. We'll talk to him when we come back to Charlotte Motor Speedway, getting ready for stock car racing's longest night. Jimmy Johnson looking on as Kurt Busch's number goes to the top of the board. It is Busch's 28th career pole and his first for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Yeah, I found it very interesting. I thought Jimmy Johnson actually was ahead of Kurt Busch off of turn 2 going down the back straightaway, but look at the 1 car Kurt Busch start to gain right here. That usually means that back end's down a little more trimmed out, but he was able to carry that speed through 3 and 4, even though he gets a little bit wider off of turn 4 and beats Jimmy Johnson to the line by 9/1000ths of a second to claim the pole. Regan?
Well, it was a very fast race car for Kurt Busch, 28th career pole. Jimmy Johnson down here giving you a hard time. You bumped him off the pole there. Is this car in more race trim or qualifying trim with all that speed?
You know, I'm just so proud of Matt McCall, all our guys, and the way we have to communicate right now and get through everything as far as those last-minute details and those fine adjustments. But, wow, what a Chevrolet brigade up front. This is pretty sweet. Gear wrench is on our car only a few times a year, and I want to really push them up front. And so this is an awesome pull. I was more geared up in my mind towards downforce and being ready for 600 miles. So this means Matt McCall's got something up his sleeve, and we should be good tonight. So this is a great run, and happy birthday, Chip.
Good luck, Kurt.
Chip
Thank
Ganassi.
you.
28th career pole for 5 different teams for Kurt Busch. Tonight on Fox, our Race Hub pre-race show gets the green flag on Fox at 5:30 p.m. 6 o'clock race coverage for the Coca-Cola 600. Coming up next on FS1, NASCAR, 100,000 cameras sponsored by Geico. Kurt Busch will lead 6 Chevys up front to the flag tonight in Charlotte.